Alright guys, I'm here at the Houska Castle. Now, this is a castle in the Czech Republic. It was built in the late 1200s, and it is built with no fortifications. It is built with no kitchen. It is built with no water. There's no trade routes around here. It was literally built not to keep things out like most castles, but to keep things in. And the reason for this is supposedly the entire area was infested with demons and other unworldly creatures. So there was a hole that is in about the middle of this castle that was supposedly the gateway to hell, where all of these demons would emerge from, and they would terrorize the people in the local villages surrounding the area. So they built the castle. Some of the windows are fake, and as you can see just from the outside, it would be very easy to get to this castle if you were a legionary or something like that. So the whole purpose of this castle was to be built to keep things in, and it was built over that gateway to hell to keep all the demons and monsters from escaping its walls. As soon as it was built, all the stories, the legends of demon infestation or animal-human hybrids stock in the area stopped. We're about to go on the tour here soon, so yeah, get ready for that. Houska Castle is an early Gothic castle, 29 miles north of Prague. It is one of the best preserved castles of the period. Notable features include a predominantly Gothic chapel, green chamber, with late Gothic paintings, and a knight's drawing room. It was built in the second half of the 13th century, probably on the orders of Bohemian ruler Ottokar II during his reign from 1253 to 1278, to serve as an administration center from which the extensive royal estates could be managed. Later, it passed to the hands of the aristocracy, frequently passing from the ownership of one to another. In 1584 through 1590, it underwent Renaissance-style modifications, losing none of its fortress features, and looks down from a steep rocky cliff. I know that cliff is very steep because I pedaled a bicycle up it, and it was exceedingly difficult. In the 18th century, it ceased to serve as a noble residence and fell into a state of disrepair before being renovated in 1823. It was purchased by a princess, and in 1924, the times of the First Republic, bought by the President of Skoda, Joseph Simonek. During World War II, the Germans used the castle to perform inhumane experiments on local people or prisoners of war. The Houska Castle, and most specifically the chapel, have been constructed over a large hole in the ground that is allegedly a gateway to hell, which is said to be so deep no one could see down to the bottom of it. Animal-human hybrids reported to have crawled in and out of it. Also, dark-wing and otherworldly creatures flew in its vicinity. Legend has it that when construction began in the castle, all of the inmates that were sentenced to death were offered a pardon if they consented to be lowered by a rope into the hole and report back on what they had seen. When the first person was lowered, he began screaming after a few seconds, and when pulled back to the surface, he looked as if he had aged 30 years. He had grown wrinkles and his hair had turned white, as the old folklore tales state. The Houska Castle was built with no fortifications, no water wells, no kitchen, and it is near no trade routes, and with no occupants at the time of its completion. The castle was not built as a residence or as a protective sanctuary, but instead built because the hole was thought to be the gateway to hell. Thus, constructing the Gothic building, they were able to keep the demons trapped in the lower level where the walls are the thickest. One observation I had made when I was leaving the Houska Castle, more specifically, I had gotten onto a hillside and started going downhill, and I could easily see another castle in the distance. It was really far away, but it's a large building and you could see it. That does lead a little bit of credence to the making it sort of an administration center. I don't think an administration center would need to be very well fortified, however, but if you were to build that a building that large in the 1200s, that's a lot of effort to go to for nothing.